So Roger, Guber and I have lived through many examples where we couldn't come up with the title of a movie. We went back and forth, nothing seemed to work. But when I saw the doc, I realized that coming up with the name of a rock group, that's hard too. I mean, you went through The Hair, Detour.
And we thought about The Hair. We didn't use it,
Right.
but we thought about it. I mean, bad enough thinking about it, isn't it? We were the Detours. We then became The Who. We tried The Who. Someone threw out The Who. We thought, that sounds stupid enough to be a group name. And we tried it. And then someone else came in and said, oh, that's far too old-fashioned, because we were playing kind of Chicago blues kind of stuff with long hair. And they decided to totally remodel the band on a mod fashion, very sharp. And he changed our name to the High Numbers. And we actually made our first record under the name of the High Numbers.
Sounds like a Vegas act.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It would be much more apt today than High Numbers, you know.
Yeah.
In those days, it wasn't a drug culture really in those days.
Yeah.
But anyway, then all the kids started saying, you know, The Who was a much better name. You know, this is a stupid name. And so we went back to it. And after it's so right, because graphically you can do so much more with it.
Music is always of the period. Whatever music is made, it's always reflecting the period to some respect. And certainly The Who and Tommy reflected the period.
That, yeah.
And its narrative, the narrative of that music and that album was a story of the period, of the disenfranchised.
It was a story of a generation searching. And me as a singer, it was a part of my life where I was completely lost. I'd been thrown out of the band in '65 and then brought back into the band 3 months later on a promise that I would be a completely different character than I was.
Yours or their promise?
And my promise that, you know, oh yeah, I'll give up being a naughty boy and fighting and all that. And I will toe the line. And by the time we got to '68, where we recorded Tommy, and it was finished, I suddenly realised that Tommy was reflecting what I'd been for the last 3 years. I'd been deaf, dumb and blind, searching for me.
But there are two versions that I read about why you were tossed out of the group. One was that because you liked to fight a lot, but the other was that you objected to their use of drugs, amphetamines in particular.
Yeah, they did like to do a lot of amphetamines, because we were doing sometimes 3 shows a night in different, you know,
You needed them.
100-mile journeys in between. Yeah, and unlucky for me, I couldn't take them. I was a singer, and anyone who's taken those things know that the first thing that happens is your voice dries up. So it was death to a singer. So I was a straight man in this bunch of complete and utter, you know, loonies on speed, and I could hear the music suffering. So it was very frustrating. So I flushed the drugs down the toilet one night in a complete fit of anger, and a huge fight ensued. And that's when they kicked me out. They said, we can't go on like this. So I said, well, I can't go on like that either. So it kind of parted ways, but they, you know, the proviso to come back into the band was that you stop fighting. So then it was just a matter of learning how to get what I wanted without fighting, and you know, we're getting there.
Yeah.
What did you think when Stigwood approached you guys about doing the movie Tommy? What was your first
Well, we'd always...
And Stigwood was a daft character. You remember him?
Oh,
He was really out there.
That's what I loved about those days. I mean, those Barnum and Bailey characters, you know, real chances. It was just like the audacity of making a rock opera in the first place, and then the audacity of wanting to make a rock opera a film. You know, it was Tommy at the time would have made. We were on Decca Records, right? And they probably would have earned you know, $30–40 million, which is a lot of money in those days, out of Tommy. We went to them for $1 million for a film budget to make Tommy in 1970, and they wouldn't give it to us.
Okay, now full disclosure.
So
Were you
thank God
there?
for-
No, I wasn't at Universal.
You-
That was at Columbia. Ned Tannen was at Universal at
Okay,
that time.
but who turned him down? You didn't.
No,
It was
I didn't.
Tanner.
We did it.
Some
You
schmuck
did.
at
We did the
Records.
movie.
And did you, now let's just get this straight now. Were you fair in the bookkeeping toward Roger in later years?
I
or
did
no?
it just the way they did it then. One for me, one
Because,
for
you know,
me,
the studios.
one for me, one for me.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I think that is actually true. He's telling the truth. It makes a change. Thank God for people like you. They're taking all the flack in the office for making all this outrageous material that they didn't understand either.
Was there much
It
flack
worked.
at that time?
Yeah. I met Leo Jaffe used to call from his Fifth Avenue office every day saying, I looked at the dailies, people are smashing pinball machines, I don't know what's going on. You only have Jack Nicholson, he was in it for one day. Where is the rest of Jack Nicholson?
Oh, really?
You know, it was
Elton
that
John was
traditional.
one day.
So who started breaking things? Did he, or was it you with breaking guitars, or where did that tradition start?
That started in a little small club in London where the ceiling was very low, and Pete used to have this strange way of playing.
Right.
And he did that with a guitar one night, way up there, and the guitar neck broke on the ceiling. So he stuck with this guitar with all the strings falling down, and he thought, and he just got angry with it. And smashed it to smithereens. And the crowd went absolutely berserk. And again, it was like one of those things, like choosing the right name. People noticed, and then people talked. So you think, well, let's just keep smashing guitars.
Yeah.
It was very simple.
So let's take a look at a clip from The Amazing Journey, the Story of the Who.